I'm making a first-person idle game in Unreal Engine 5 where your sole purpose is to create as much power as possible. I chose to create this game in Unreal Engine 5 mainly because of its Nanite technology. And today I want to talk to you about what Nanite is and why it's crucial for my game, in my opinion, and how I implemented it, since it's not a straightforward process in my case. But more on that later. By the way, if you're not a developer, don't fright. I will explain this in a way so everybody can understand. Nanite was introduced by these guys talking about how it works.
Truly virtualized geometry. Just want to be able to import without wasting any time optimizing. We call this new technology Nanite.
And then they actually showed how it works in-game. During this trailer, they advertised that this statue has more than 30 million triangles, and that there are hundreds of them in this scene. This was a game changer. But why is this game changing? I mentioned triangles a couple of times. Let me explain to you what they are. A triangle is exactly what it sounds like. A triangle. And when you have something like a 3D model, your computer breaks it all down to being an amount of triangles. And these triangles are what is being rendered on your screen. So yeah, you can probably understand that more triangles means more computing power needed, and the slower the game goes. When that's said, modern day computers are really fucking good at this. So you can crunch out thousands, hundreds of thousands, couple of millions without having any huge issues. But there is a limit. So the best way to keep the amount of triangles down is just to be smart when you model and keep the amount of geometry pretty low. An example is, instead of using something round, use something square and stuff like that. And this is also the main reason why all-time Lara Croft looked like this with her spiky tits, and the new Lara Croft looks like this with realistic geometry. But even though modern day hardware has allowed for pretty high amounts of triangles, we can still not put in infinite amount. So what has happened is that the game industry has just become a bunch of savage cheaters just using tricks and magic to get good results without adding to the geometry. One of the biggest tricks in this book is to bake details from one model onto another. This sounds a bit weird, but it's essentially something like this. Hey, can you take a look? I think I'm done. I'm pretty happy with the result. What do you think? Yeah, that looks great. Thanks. Well, okay, so I guess I'm importing it into the game now. Whoa, hold on a sec. You're not putting that into the game. Why not? You just said that it looks great. Exactly, it looks too good. You need to create a version of this that looks way worse. But why would I do that? Because after you do that, then you can bake the details from that good looking model onto the ass looking model. That just sounds like it takes a lot of time and gives a worse looking result than if I just took the original model and imported it. You're absolutely right. Okay, but I will not be able to finish this today. Oh yes, you will, because you will be working overtime today. What? Yeah, and you will not get paid for it either. What? Well, yep, you have fun with that. I'm gonna head out, and since you won't be home, I will be heading over to your place and fuck your wife, since you're an absent father and always at work, never at home, showing love to your loved ones, so bye. This is why I don't like the high poly low poly baking technique.
Actually, you forgot to mention the performance advantage with this technique.
Oh, I hate that guy. I hate that guy. I thought I fired that guy for being annoying and weird. Yes, there is a performance advantage with this technique. However, it adds so much time to the pipeline, which I don't want to add. And you know, here, let me give you a quick example. Whoa, before I show you the baking technique, let me show you my machine. I upgraded it. It now shows the wishlist for Steam, it shows YouTube subscribers, and it shows Twitch followers. Thanks to everyone who showed love and support and gives my brain dopamine by making these numbers go higher up. And yeah, let's get back to baking. Here we have a pretty high poly cube. I sculpted more details on it, which is pretty unnecessary. It has 612,000 triangles. This is the one I want in my game. And I have this other cube here that are 12 triangles. So what we will now try to do is to have these details being baked into this box. I personally use Substance Painter. As you see here, I have my low poly cube This is the one with 12 triangles. Now I want to try to bake in the details from the high poly one. So I can just increase this one and then we give it a go. We bake. It's cool, right? This is now 12 triangles worth of computing power, but with details worth 620,000 triangles, which is pretty insane. So that was the baking technique, and that has been the industry standard in forever. So have you been creating assets for games? Has been this relationship between the good looking result you want and the ass looking model you need to bake it onto, and try to make that work in best way possible. So you were kind of never done with your asset, I felt like, with this process, because you created your assets, cool, now create it low poly, cool, now bake it, now probably something went wrong, so you have to adjust either the high poly or the low poly, and you went back and forth for a while, and then you had a result that you could put in. And then again, if you put it into the game and something was wrong again, you'd have to either go the whole way back to the low poly and do it added so much to the pipeline. And then Unreal Engine 5 comes out and they have the Nanite technology and says, dude, you have your model, just import it. The engine can handle it, just import it. You don't have to bake details anymore. So that's why I love Nanite. And so now that you know what triangles are and what Nanite is and how baking works, let me show you how I made Nanite possible in my game. In a game, you have static meshes and skeletal meshes. Static meshes are static. They are usually standing still. And skeletal meshes can be animated. And in my game, all of my machines are animated. And here is why Nanite is not a straightforward thing in my case. It's because Nanite only works on static meshes. No skeletal meshes at all. However, they showed off this guy. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, that looks fucking animated. So how did they have Nanite enabled for this character if it's a skeletal mesh? You guessed it, they fucking cheated again. They cheated this time by having a skeleton and then attaching static meshes with Nanite enable onto the skeleton. Which sounds weird, but it makes sense. So take these glasses for example. We can now consider them a static object, since it's not being animated on its own. However, if I attach this to my face, these glasses will now move wherever my head goes. And the same logic we can apply to the game. So with this logic you can have all of your separate pieces for your machine as a Nanite enabled static mesh, and then you would just create a simple skeletal mesh which you will attach the parts to. So here I have created a simple version of one of my machines which will work as the skeleton, and then I imported all the different parts to the machine. And then I just attached all of the parts onto the skeleton, and voila, now we have a Nanite enabled skeletal mesh. And I know there are people in the audience now grinning from ear to ear thinking, oh, so you made a worse looking version of your model. Sounds like you could have gone for the baking technique all the way, right? Well, to you guys, I just want to say that you're fucking pieces of shit and you should... Whoa. That will get us cancelled. So, so anyways, I followed this tutorial on how to attach the different pieces onto the skeleton. So if you want to know more about that technique, I recommend watching that one. Link in the description. Alright, that's it. Let me know in the comments down below if you're Team Nanite or Team Baking. If you're Team Nanite like me, I'm sorry to tell you that there is no straightforward way for you to import skeletal meshes if you were looking for a solution for that. Personally, I've been waiting to learn this technique just because I hoped that Unreal Engine 5 would get this feature in an update. But with 5.4 now announced and no support for Nanite skeletal meshes inside, I decided to put in the time and effort needed to learn this workaround.
Let me show you what's coming in 5.5. Nanite visualization, a nanited skeletal mesh.
Helvete!